Oh, that. I think I wanted.
Twentieth, 2025 MSD of Wayne Township Board of Education working session is called to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Burke, roll call.
Randy Morgan.
Present.
Renee Corinne.
Present.
Susan Gray. Present. Sherry Marcotte. Present. Vance and Wayne Collins.
Thank you. Dr. Buss, we have anyone sign up for public comment this evening?
No, sir, we did not.
Okay. Moving on to new business, the Fairbanks Grant Interim Report.
Well, it seems that our screen is not working tonight.
So, if you have a computer, there was a data spreadsheet that you but I can. So I oversee the Fairbanks Foundation grant. It's actually our third grant with the Fairbanks Foundation. We got the first one in 2023. And it was called Meeting the Moment, and it was $240,000. We used it primarily to purchase cell phone. To kick off, it's a college career readiness platform that students use in grades 7 through 12. And we did some other very unique things with it. It had a lot of funds to support college field trips and engaging students in campus visits. And then we were able, thank you, we were able to get another grant, a planning grant. We were one of 6 individuals to get that planning grant, and then 5 of those school districts were able to get the next grant, which is reversing the trend. That one was $1.4 million over 4 years, so we're in year 2 of that grant. And so what I have for you is kind of a data snapshot of our data from the first year of that grant. So it's basically like 3 intervention areas that we focus on. The first one's academic preparation, the second one is financial awareness and financial aid, and then the third one is that college and career counseling piece. And they really let you kind of customize how you wanted to use the grant. So what we did with the college level coursework is we focused on recruitment for existing programs and then the development of a new program. So our existing programs were the early college program. So we had Ben Davis University High School, the Early College Career Center through Area 31 at Ben Davis High School, and then we had the Indiana College Corps, which is through Ben Davis High School. That one has a different university partnership. They chose IU Bloomington for that one. And so we're basically in year 2 of implementing our Indiana College Corps, and I say that because it's a little specific to some of the data that you're going to see on that. And so then with that particular part of the grant, we focused on credentialing teachers, still focusing on that. The dual credit course expansion, so offering more dual credit courses to students, primarily at Ben Davis High School for that focus. And then earning certificates, associate degrees, and then the Indiana College Corps. And if you're not familiar with the College Corps, it's about 30 college credits. They're very specific, like an associate's degree, because they will transfer to almost, actually, all of the state schools and then the private schools have also jumped on board with the Indiana College Board. So those automatically transfer into the degree area. It also has tutoring and support built into it to support students in dual credit courses. And then the AVID program is also something that is supported too. AVID is advancement via individual determination. That is actually a college and career readiness program that is more focused on the academic side. So it's got writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading in it. It has very strong professional development and training for teachers in that program. Then our second intervention area was financial aid awareness. So that was increasing our attendance at our FAFSA events and increasing our number of FAFSA events and financial planning for families. And that one came with a lot of partnerships. We partnered with the Indianapolis Urban League. They actually provide hot meals and dessert at all of our FAFSA events. We have Indiana Latino Institute to hold events. They call them Family Latino events in Spanish for the students and families. This year we did a partnership with the Center for Leadership and Development, and we are busing a group of students to be in their self-discovery program so that they can be eligible for scholarships for that 13-week period. And then we partnered with IU Indianapolis with their new seamless admission program so that students who have a 3.0 or higher are automatically accepted to IU Indianapolis. And then we did a recent partnership with Purdue University to do early outreach to focus on students in grades 8 through 10. And then our University of Indianapolis focused with the APR grant on future educators. And then the last area was intervention area 3. That one is where we focused on our comprehensive school counseling model and our college and career advising piece. So we have a coordinator of student services that was under that position and a partnership with Catching Results for professional development and training to build out our comprehensive school counseling model. The comprehensive school counseling model has 3 areas. It's academic, social, emotional, and then the college and career readiness. We have really strong strategies in all those areas, but it's focusing on tiered support so that if the student isn't reached, then we can put them in the tier and offer them more like individualized attention in that area. And specifically, we were focused on that college and career advising, increasing the number of touch points with students individually and in small group to help guide them along the way. And then we also have a career coaching team. So we had a second grant that we received, and that was through the Commission for Higher Ed. It's called Career Coaching Grant. It's very possible that we might get a second grant in that area. We'll find out at the end of this month. We have 8 career coaches in the district that serve as a team, and they are able to meet individually with students. They get training and support through Inspire Success. It's our intermediary. And they also support our new college advising center at Ben Davis High School that was built in the renovation. And that's staffed by our college admissions coordinator, Kiera Cross. And then we have now shifted a portion of this grant to support Zello so that we can continue our Zello implementation and have those grades 7 through 12 students complete the college and career lessons, and then they also use it to apply to colleges and apply for scholarships, and then develop their 4-year plan. So what you have in front of you, or on here, is the data from year 1.
Scroll. You should roll.
Amazon. So anyway, what we're focusing on is basically our participation in the measures. So for instance, we looked at the number of students who were enrolled in at least one dual credit course. 37% of our students in the district, and this is primarily pulling the data from the 9th grade center, from Ben Davis High School, and from Ben Davis University High School. The Fairbanks Foundation, I did try to put a cheap virtual under the grant, but they do not support virtual high schools at this time. Not that we don't use the funds to support all of our secondary schools, we definitely do. But we had 37%, and our goal was actually 25%. So, and what you're going to see in a couple of pages is the number of students who successfully complete that dual credit course. Really good. We actually have a lot more families attend our FAFSA events when we provide the meals and the dessert, and when we provide incentives like this last year, we increased the number considerably by offering free cap and gown drawings at each of these events. They really like that. Then we also hit our first metric with having all juniors and seniors attend at least one advising session. And then we also hold summer boot camps that we are working to increase the attendance for those. And so what they did is kind of do a comparison. This is Mathematica, one of the data organizations that we work with through the grant, with the number of students who have credit in that dual credit course, completed their associate's degree. If you're looking at this, it's the bottom of page 1. One of the things that we are, again, building out is that Indiana College Core. We only had one student, non-early college, that completed the ICC. That's an area that we're growing considerably. And we had 12% of our students who are in the associate's degree, and it has the ICC embedded into it. That doesn't really reflect that number because they get the associate's degree, so it's a little stronger than the ICC. Then we had, this is actually looking at our overall comparison of students that are earning, applying to at least one college, getting accepted, and then with the intention to enroll. We actually have really strong numbers in those areas too. The other school districts, just so you know, that we're compared to, and some of the comparison data, it is IPS, Franklin, Warren, and then they do have a charter in their Victory Prep, and so they use comparison data for that. And then we had our FAFSA completion rates. We actually hit, it says 59%, but we can still have students complete the FAFSA. We actually hit the Marion County goal, state goal of 60% of our students, and that is definitely an increase. If you're looking at the graph, you can kind of see the increase over the years. So very excited about that. You can see that the early college program definitely has a lot higher rates, but obviously less students in that. And then we had our college enrollment rate in that nursing group. We had about 50% of our students in comparison to the other schools. We actually have a really high number. Looking to increase that, but definitely a high number than in college. I mean, look at the
Dr.
national
Doherty Saunders, so are those students who enroll or students who attend?
that we actually look at the attendance of the students because we use the National Clearinghouse data. So, which is college. Yeah. So if they're enrolling college by October 1, that's the data. Yes. You can track it.
In Indiana College.
In Indiana College. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So we lose the data when they go out of state. It is. Yeah. Yeah, and actually some of this is self-reported from like the senior survey, and so all of our data would be, we actually almost got 900 students to fill that out this year. But our number would be higher if we got all of our graduates.
24.
The class of 2025. Yeah, this data is from 2025. We're on to subgroup data. So we're looking at the subgroup data of our students. We actually have, and out of all of the school districts that are in this, we have the highest rate of our Black students actually going to college, and the rest of them have a downward trend of Black students, but ours has an upward trend of Black students. We also have a higher rate of all of those subgroups, the Hispanic, the white, and the free and reduced lunch. They had to pick like a common data point, so they picked the subgroups that we would use to compare these. But there is breakout data for other subgroups too on you. And so that last part is kind of subgroup data on, for instance, students who take a dual credit course and the percent of completion. So I told you We actually have a really high rate of students who successfully earn that dual credit. 88% of our students who enroll in dual credit course will earn dual credit. What that is a tribute to also the counselors who are helping those students to select those courses and making sure they're successful in there. And then I think we're on to the last part. And the last part is just looking at separate of so another point is the English learners. We have 43% of our students who actually are enrolling in the dual credit, and then 38% who, that's got the biggest dip in terms of those who don't earn a dual credit, because it's a difference of 5%, which is a little less, but we have more English learners who actually take the dual credit courses successfully in there. So that's kind of a summary of our first year data.
When we look at the Ben-Davis University FAFSA completion rate at 92%, is that an approach that could be scaled and replicated at Ben-Davis, or are we truly limited just by the staffing or the employees that we have dedicated to do that?
I think really the students, as I've learned through the recruitment, when you ask what their intention after graduation is, it's 100%. So I think one of the barriers that we experience that we are building out on is we have a large percentage of students who want to go directly into employment.
Okay.
And so those, yeah. And so now that the FAFSA is the graduation requirement, we do have a larger number of students who are filing the FAFSA, but it doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily. We have the students who are enrolled at Ben-Davis High School in the state. We don't have the other kind of 10 different school districts in here.
Right, just Ben-Davis.
That's just Ben-Davis. Yeah, they're included.
What's been your biggest aha during this first year of the grant?
I would say that one of the things that I know that we are getting better at is trying to individualize that experience with the students. So one of my biggest ahas is the strength of that current coaching team, because the counselors have that 400-to-1 ratio, and they just, I mean, even with the best system in the world, it's not going to create an environment where they can be individual students. So many students, like for instance, the IU Indianapolis seamless admission. When we let the students do that on their own, we had almost 500 students who were eligible for that, but we only had 16 actually completed. Because when they do the acceptance, it's very much like a college application. You got to put in information in there, and then they always hit that barrier and they have questions and they don't finish. So when you have a career coach who will meet with that student and help them, we've been able to substantially increase the numbers of seamless programs. So yeah, the individual support, you just can't go without that.
As a result of not just this grant, but I think there are many different aspects go together. Dr. Doherty Saunders has been extremely invaluable to the Fairbanks Foundation and the Simmons iLab work with navigating the apprenticeship, internship, college matters type of work they're doing. So she has been really the residential expert for many of those committees and able to really guide some of the discussions when meeting with business and industry and other leaders that don't have that educational perspective, because she's living it each and every day. So I do think that our success with the grant, as well as our engagement with Simmons iLab and the other work the Fairbanks Foundation is doing, is in huge part due to the representation that Dr. Doherty Saunders has on behalf of MSD of Wayne, but also Kate from general. So thank you for all of that. I know it's extra time and extra work for you, but I think it's paying dividends for our children. Sure.
I enjoy it. So.
Is that still part of what's available to kids?
It is.
It is, you know, we're just waiting to hear if they're going to be one of the selected intermediaries for the NCAP, the new apprenticeship statewide program. So I figured.
We have nothing isn't official yet, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is gonna be a huge source to them because it's difficult for them to get in that network of employer partners. So this is going to dramatically increase the number of partners who have already signed up.
Send an employee were one of the first ones to actually engage in this work back in 2019, 2020. And so they are well established and certainly doing that work here central Indiana. I think a lot of other intermediaries were looking at that model to replicate around the state.
So how does the student come to know about a map? At Benday High School?
We do recruitment for them too. But that's one of the areas where I felt like the numbers were decreasing, but part of it is because it became more popular at other Marion County schools. And so we were competing for spots. And so one of the things the career coaching team is doing as well is they're supporting recruitment for students in the apprenticeship programs. It's the same barrier. They start to do the application process. If they don't have a parent at home who's advocating and helping them with that process, then it just kind of falls flat. One of the biggest things students fail to do is check their email. And so they will get an email. And then what MAP does, they reach out to me and then I have to go find the student and say, check email.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll have a job offer waiting for them.
Nicholas came to me the other night. He said, I was trying to help so-and-so's little brother with applying for math. And I said, you need help, I can reach out to Dr. Doherty Saunders and you talk to her. I said, no, we're okay right now. So that's why I didn't know how that works. So we're eternally grateful still.
And there's more opportunities coming. The work really that the ILM team is doing is getting ready to launch it and really expand it. Banking industry's first at the table. They're kind of paving the way. Again, Dr. Doherty Saunders has been extremely helpful in helping them understand how curriculum instruction is actually developed. They hope to launch it this school year. I think very quickly they learned it was way too fast and they were going to have to wait another year because of the development of the curriculums they're working on. Thank you, Becky.
Thank
you.
You're welcome to stay for our other 5 presentations. You're on call break. You're on call break.
Hey, we have a Lilly grant update.
We do not have slides for this one. We just wanted to give you an update where we were. Our first reporting period is coming up October the 31st for phase 2 of our grant. We have been very successful in launching our National Institute for School and Systems Leadership. 148 of our leaders are going through that with the National Center for Education and Economy. We are through 5 modules, 5 of the 12 modules. We will hit the halfway point in November. And then we are taking April or March, one of those months that we will not be going through a module because of our testing cycle, our state testing cycle. So we will finish next June with that. We are delaying a little bit of our executive coaching because of just what our current leaders are going through. Those 148 leaders, it's stretching everybody really thin. And so the coaching will come next year. We met with the NCE team. We said, let's delay that. We applied, part of the grant says we're going to get X number of days an hour. We're just going to ship when that happens. So when we start TEL next year with that first cadre of teachers, the 200 plus teachers that are going to go through the Teaching for Effective Learning, we will have coaching for those administrators who are supporting those teachers that have gone through NISL already. So they'll have that coaching aspect when we wrap that in. Phase 3 is supposed to be announced, and if you remember, it's about $42-ish million for phase 3. That grant is we're supposed to find out in December. There were a couple school districts and other school types that were asked to submit additional information within the last month. We were not. So what we submitted was sufficient for them, which gives us a pretty good indication that they have what they need to make a determination on our grant. So I think we are all feeling very confident about what NISL is doing or leading us towards. The profile of a Wayne learner is coming along quite well. We did some community work at our community leaders meeting to get some feedback also from them that we will wrap back into what has been going on with the committee. And then December the 15th should have to you that profile of a Wayne learner, which is just the beginning of the framework. So next semester, designing systems of work really will be about the implementation of that into classrooms with what that looks like from an instruction standpoint, what it looks like from a support standpoint, what are some of, we'll develop the competencies, but what are the proficiencies that will demonstrate those competencies as we move forward. So that will be next semester's work, hopefully to be done by the end of the 25-26 school year, to be put into place for the 26-27 school year, which should really help to inform also what projects our teachers are working on at TEL when they're doing the action research with the buy-ins and try-ins. So it's a lot, but so far we're navigating it, but it is stretching everybody really thin. We have 5 different cohorts going at the same time, including this one, where it's stretching them really thin too. But when I talk to some of our colleagues, because of the way in which we have rolled this out, and quite honestly, no other school district has rolled it out at the capacity that we have. But Pike has a few people going through it. Decatur has, I think, 8 cohort. Beech Grove has 8 cohort. Marion might have a few, but they're not doing it at the scale, so you're not building the same capacity that we're building, which should play out over the course of 5 years. So, but we'll let you know as soon. Hopefully, at that December 15th board meeting, we'll have some information from Lily. That'll be definitely first part of the year. Yeah.
Okay, teacher appreciation grant guidance.
Just wanted to give you just a bit of an update. And I can't remember how much we talked about tag before. Did we talk much? Okay. So teacher appreciation grant, we just got this slide deck on Friday. So this is brand new. Additional guidance is supposed to come out October the 31st. So next Friday, while we're on break, we should get some additional guidance that is really a result of the questions and information that the department has been collecting since they initially launched the guidelines for teacher appreciation grant. For the last, call it 5 years or more, teacher appreciation grant has been given to any teacher who was effective or highly effective. Usually came out around December, right before the holiday. And so our teachers have gotten used to this being a bonus, a winter bonus that they were able to utilize for the holiday. Well, this year it actually became a competitive grant. And so there is not a large enough appropriation to support all of the teachers in this. There are minimum numbers of 3,500, 5,000, and 7,500. Those are the minimum numbers for the grant. And it can only be given up to 20% of our teachers. So let's go through a little bit. This was House Enrolled Act 1001, very large, obviously, very large bill that was became an enrolled act in 2025 as a result of this last session. Here we go, 20% of certified teachers essentially had to be here last year, had to be here this year. The program is going to determine the appropriate stipend and then report on how each certified teacher met those designations. So what does that look like? There's 3 different tiers. I mentioned employment significantly impacts student outcomes. So this has been one that we've been trying to define. What does that mean? And what they tell us is it means greater than a year. So a teacher has impacted student achievement, student outcomes using national, state, or local assessments greater than a year, and meet all of the eligible requirements. So what do those eligible requirements look like? So at 3,500, 1, significantly impacts student outcomes, and 2, actually that's basically the requirement. So one of the distinctions, I think it's probably in a future slide, they have to have a designated student roster. So that's a bit of a shift from before because counselors were eligible for it, reading interventionists were responsible, instructional coaches, all of those people were eligible because they were certified teachers. Now it is only those who have a designated roster. So that changes things just a little bit. So then you have to determine what is a national, state, or local assessment. We know the national state assessments. We talked about I Learn, I Read, SAT, ACT, those types of assessments for national and state. And then the local assessments could be something created here locally. So a benchmark formative assessment that we have, something to develop here locally. And you can add, they said you can add additional criteria, to be clear there. Our certified teachers, our count, is it 181 or 189? That number's not sticking in my head for some reason. 20% of our teachers. 189. So right now the state says up to 189 of our teachers can receive this grant. Now, again, we're in discussion. We've got mixed information from the department because in statute it specifically says 3,500, 5,000, 7,500 for tiers 1, 2, and 3. So if you hypothetically had everybody qualified for tier 2, we will not receive a large enough appropriation for 189 teachers to receive a tier 2 distribution. So we may only be able to give it to 160 teachers because that's when we run out of money instead of 189 because of the designated amounts. There are approximately 13 school districts that decided not to participate, school types, districts and charters and privates who chose not to participate. So about 13-ish. 5,000, again, significantly impacts student outcomes. And then, one of the other following, formally mentor or coach another teacher. This is one that we got a little bit of distinction on last week because we don't have a formal district-wide mentoring program. So last week, the advice or the information we received was as long as a school administrator has specifically selected a teacher to mentor another teacher, that can count for the mentoring system in its first year. So it can't be like, hey, I'm next to your classroom, I'm a teacher for 3 years, I'm gonna mentor you this year. It has to be something that's formalized by the administrator asking a teacher to be mentored. Or serve in a high need or geographic shortage area. So they'll define high need here in a minute. Geographic shortage area would be if you lived in Perry Central School District down in southwest Indiana, and you can't attract a physics teacher. That might be a geographic shortage. Then the 7,500 include, you have to meet all three. So significant impact outcomes, formally mentor, and serve in a high need or geographic shortage area. So these are some of the national assessments. This is not an exhaustive list, but just an idea of what might be able to utilize NAEP, AP, IB, Cambridge, SAT, ACT, those types of assessments. Although I don't know how you measure it here for the growth on SAT, ACT. But formally mentoring, they talk about strategic pairing, defining objectives, having scheduled meetings, etc. And then here's what the high need subject areas are. There's a bit of an irony here. So the high need areas, special education, English learners, STEM, and then an open position that has not been filled for greater than 90 days. We have those positions, but it's kind of a stretch. So think about special ed teachers. They don't have a designated roster. Think about English learner teachers. They don't have a designated roster. And so we're still trying to figure out if it's a high need area, but they don't have a designated roster. How are we assessing them significantly improving student outcomes? So hopefully that'll come out October 31st. That'll give us an idea of how to address those special ed and LAP teachers or EL teachers that are in those areas. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Not at all.
Back there in the required criteria, it says serve in a high need or geographic shortage area. It doesn't say subject.
Correct. So that's why they come in and define high need. So
Well,
these,
they made it into subject area rather
Yeah,
than a
these-
high need like a Title I school.
they're saying high need of these 4 areas. That's their definition. So the department has defined that this way. Statute didn't define it in the House Enrollment or Senate Enrollment Act, and so they came back or House Enrollment Act, another 101. So they came in and defined it. The department has defined what high needs are. We don't designate that here. So here's the timeline. Again, October 3rd was the date for us to identify that we were going to participate. We did. October 31st is when we were supposed to get some additional guidance. They've also said maybe they'll redo the count because if they do put those special ed teachers and LAP teachers or EL teachers in there, currently they're not in our original count of qualified teachers. So our 20% is based off of a data set that doesn't include these 2 groups of teachers. So that was one of the questions we asked, which will change a whole lot of dynamics. If they add those groups of teachers back into the denominator, which will give us more than 189 teachers. Fall of 2025, which is actually what we attended last Thursday. We heard an informational session for the department. January 30th is our deadline for teacher applications. What we originally thought was that we were going to have to submit artifacts for every teacher to demonstrate that they have met that significantly improving outcomes. Clearly, the department doesn't have the staff to go through that unless they spot checked and randomly pull. Basically, what they have told us is that's on you as a school district. You're going to go through that, and you will then certify to us that they have met that requirement. So our task is to determine what that looks like. We had talked originally about having a jot form or some type of an application process. Remember, the teachers don't have to apply for this. This is not like it used to be where it was automatic given. This is a grant. And so if a teacher wants to apply for it, they may. And we will designate the date by which we'll open up the application. We'll take the first 189 that submit. We're gonna let them know well in advance. So if you want to start collecting your artifacts, you want to start getting things prepared, so you can cut and paste right in the jot form and hit submit on the day that we open it up. Great. We will then go through one by one and say yes or no. We believe that this teacher has met this criteria, and the first 189 that meet the criteria are the first 189 that are going to get it based on the timestamp of the application. We don't know any other fair way to do it. We don't think lottery is the right way to do it. We don't think it's so. There's a lot of districts do it in a lot of ways. We believe that is probably the most ethical, fair, and meeting the spirit of the law, the spirit of the guidance that it's given. So that's where we're falling currently. Then April 15th, we'll get the money. We have 60 days to distribute it. So by June 30th or so, call it June 15th, we're supposed to give all that money. Anything that's left, we send back to the department at the end of June. So that's.
Teachers decide which level that they want to apply.
We will ask teachers to indicate which level they believe they are qualified for. And we will then make the determination if yes, they did or did not. Some of our buildings do have what we would call, based on this criteria, a formal mentoring program. We as a district do not. Some buildings do not. So each building is in a different space. That's part of the work that we have to do this year to make sure that next year all of our schools can say that they have a formal mentoring program. So teachers can qualify for teachers.
There was also some discussion, I don't know if it's any further, but there was some discussion that all of this may be turned over to the schools to pay for this out of their own funds. Is that still the plan? Or is the state going to fund this?
The state has an appropriation for the next 2 years. So what they're not paying for is a mentoring stipend. So if you remember way back when, we used to get paid as mentors.
Sure.
The state had a program. We had to turn things in. It was required every year, but there was a stipend, the state stipend you can give if you mentor. That doesn't exist yet, but clearly this is leading people towards having that formal mentoring program and an unfunded mandate. So, yeah, it's just, I'm hoping that as the process goes through, that we'll get clear enough guidance. Knowing what some of the other school districts around the state are doing is nowhere near what I believe this guidance is telling us to do. So we'll see what the outcome is.
Is it all off of 24, 25?
Correct.
Data?
That's correct.
Okay. So you had the mentor last year, you had to.
That's correct. It's based on last year's test scores.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other things that people are really struggling with is we didn't know we needed to have this data set last year until the end of the school year. So people are, and quite frankly, until the guidance came out in October. So people are saying, I don't, for a lot of districts, they don't have access to those data sets because they don't have access to those class rosters anymore because those students have now shifted, right? They've now moved on. You don't have access to your students' previous data because now they're assigned to a new teacher, right? So it's going to put some strain on technology departments and a lot of other things. We'll keep working through it, but we're going to do everything we can. One of the charges that we were told last week by DOE is make sure we don't get any money back. This is meant to go in teachers' pockets, make sure they get it. So we're gonna do everything we possibly can to make sure teachers get it, whether it be 160 or 189 teachers, however far that money goes, we're gonna make sure that it goes into MSD Wayne Township teachers' pockets. So, or some people, I don't know. We'll keep you updated. Again, when we get back from fall break, hopefully we'll have some new information. It's going to come out next Friday, week from this Friday, and hopefully it gives us a little more clarity. So just want to keep you updated. We'll meet with CTA November the 3rd, and then Big Pack November the 5th, just to update everybody. The way it's going now, I would expect that we probably won't open applications until December, because we want to have the most accurate information, most up-to-date information, so that teachers have a pretty clear direction when they start the process.
Thank you. Moving on to Senate Roll Act 1 Efficiency Commission.
I think Dr. Samuel's going to take this one.
Yeah, just a quick update. We have had a great response from the community from that initial meeting where we then the next day sent out the form. So feedback, we received 404 responses. Those started rolling in moments after it was sent to staff members on that same morning. And I forgot to shut it off before I went to bed on Friday night. One snuck in. Saturday morning at 12:10. So, but I think I would say the large majority, 95%, very thoughtful responses. You know, really trying to engage in the work that we asked them to. So, and from the revenue generating side, we have a lot of people that think we ought to be renting out our facilities at a pretty high level to generate some revenue, or consider sponsorship deals, etc. And on the cost savings side, a lot of utility savings. I was pleased to see a lot of support for our energy management work that we have done, and people advocating for perhaps continuing and expanding that. We certainly saw some questions just about how much does it cost to run programs across the district, EDU, Green Center versus high school. So again, very thoughtful questions. What we know is robust discussion in cabinet today is one that is very emotional and personal because it involves our people. So we're off to I think a good start with the process, and know that we still want some difficult conversations here.
There's a lot of words to express what this work is. It's hard. Everything we do right now, we do because we believe in. It's evolved over time. And there are some programs that we've done for a long time that have come onto this list that have to be seriously considered. It's, for instance, when you're talking about ending of a program of some kind that may generate $1 million in savings, that's saving in some other areas, class sizes potentially, or other things. So it's weighing out where we place that value in how we're investing our dollars in our students' education. So but in the end, there are very, very hard decisions, and none of it do we want to give up. Right? None of it do we want to put a period on at the end of the program. So yeah, these are emotionally charged, and in the end, there will be some people that are very upset. But that's why we brought so many stakeholders together. That's why we brought 300 people together. Why we have 400. I'm quite confident these 400 will not be enough yet. This is the first phase. That's why end of November we're going to come back and say, here's where we are. If we moved everything that you suggested, now let's get to the next layer. That's just what's gonna have to happen in order to get down to that $15 million number, get up to that $15 million. President Bover and I heard today that they're gonna make some adjustments to Senate Enrolled Act 1 in the next session. Very confidently, some of the senators were expressing that that will happen. I don't know how much that changes our circumstances given our circuit breaker in our AV. So we'll see. We'll see. It'd be great if we identified some things that didn't need to be reduced, right? Because the changes were favorable. But you also have it for future consideration should be. We are down 626 students. So this is the second largest drop we've had. 2020 was the largest. We were at, our high point was almost 17,000 in 2019. We were down to just over 15,000. I did think of one positive though, Steve. We get below 15,000, no more gap. We save $150,000 in audit costs a year. I thought of that as I was breaking my yard the other day.
Had that conversation with business.
After a break, when we get a chance, can we see an updated?
I haven't, I'm sorry, I meant to forward it. It's,
We can do that. Once the DOE posts the transfer report,
Yeah.
we could actually do a analysis and an introduction from this. He shared some great data that's got all those pieces.
Are we seeing it in a particular area?
well, I think, so it's spread out across, but what you're seeing are some of the impacts of smaller classes coming in, larger classes going out. And so, you know, as those classes matriculate through, I mean, you're potentially going to see another 2,000 student drop if this trend continues. So MSD Wayne could be 13.5, you know, in another 10 years as we look at what the current numbers are doing. So it's quite possible.
Is that a symptom of this generation not having families as early, or is that a symptom of MSD Wayne geographically, or other school corporations having enrollment?
Yeah, it's a statewide trend, as we've talked to other people. There are districts that are seeing growth, for sure. But in Marion County, I think there are only 2, maybe 3 that saw an increase, and even those that did see an increase, Pike was one of them. But it was nominal. It was like 20-something kids, 30-something kids. So it wasn't hundreds of students. It was just all what you call a break even. Perry had a big loss like us, and so it's just lower birth rates in Marion County in general. I think Steve wants to engage Dr. Brooke again to do another demographic study of Wayne. You know, the last one, the census data we've had was not very good during the pandemic. So using the census data has really been challenging. So they've looked for other metrics that they can utilize to see where those numbers are and what those trends are. We also are monitoring micro schools and home schools. So those are growing types of education that people are opting for more often. And so we're seeing more and more students shifting into the micro school and home school.
I think it might be interesting to explore multifamily housing. This may be more of an opinion than a real observation, but I think a lot of our multifamily owners, landlords are making it more difficult for families to stay by means of increased rent rates or more stringent eviction policies. I think we've got fewer students living in apartments.
We have one of the highest eviction rates in the county. Dr.
I
Harris.
saw that article about within Wayne Township Fire, what is it, the county, something about the amount of, like, what the KCC and how many evictions.
Yeah, so our judge has been very aggressive with evictions. Dr. Harris worked closely with the court system to try, and Mr. Jackson has worked very closely to try to help them to better understand the true impact here. But yeah, they have been very aggressive with evictions.
The Judge Coleman.
It is good.
Yeah, I would love to see the did only because even in Pike, what I'm seeing, like my building is continuing to grow, but I have a high ELL population, and what we're also seeing, even in apartments, multiple families living in one apartment. So even though some of my colleagues' numbers are declining, my numbers are continuing to increase because of my location. I'll be interested to see how North Wayne kind of borders me, only 38th Street separates our two areas. But yeah, my numbers keep going up, but it's because not getting any new housing, but we have several people living in it. It's really apartments more so than it is houses.
Dr. Harvey, did you share building by building? Did you share the report last week?
Yeah, if you click on, I just shared the data with you. If you click on the link on the second page.
Or I would share this with you so that you can also see the. Saw that one, but you had one that was building by building. Well, there it is. Yeah, I would share this with you, board, so that you can see the difference between last year and this year by building. Actually, Tony, you okay with me pulling up?
Yes.
Yeah, so 15.8.
You can see the differences here. 634 down. So you can see where Stouffield's up. Sanders, of course, always varies. But Rhodes is down, North Wayne's down. Collin is down. So Roby's down. Lyndhurst is down. So, I mean, almost everybody's down, of course. 128 at Ben Davis High School. Then you see the percentages, obviously. So Chapel Glen's largest at almost 10.5%. Ranging anywhere from 1.8 to 7%-ish.
Is that area more so established families now? We may not have as many
Which one?
young, that Chapel Glen.
You know, Chapel Glen has more multifamily housing units than we used to. So the Chapel Glen community does not have enough enrollment specifically for Chapel Glen. So
Right,
we go down 10th Street
Oh,
more
okay.
into multifamily housing units.
Okay.
Matter of fact, they've got 10 West and all that, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that's Chapel Glen and
So
not
when that
Chapel
used to go
Wood.
Chapel Wood,
Okay,
that community grew so much that we had to ship all those to Chapel Glen.
okay.
So we go all the way down. But it's down 10th
That's
Street.
10th Street, yeah. Okay.
On the Area 31 Career and Tech Center, those students there, are they also counted in the Ben Davis High School number?
No,
Or
so
are those students?
these
from
are
other-
students who are only enrolled at Area 31 Career Tech Center. So they would be students from private schools that we've allowed to come in. They would be students from homeschool we've allowed to enroll. So that number is, that number will vary greatly depending on program and depending on the student, individualized students. So that's why you only see 28 in 24, 25, and 16 this year, but we have a total enrollment of 1,400-ish. So.
Because that just thought, if someone was just looking at that percentage
Yeah.
variation, they would be, oh my goodness,
Yeah. When you only have 28, it can
Right.
vary very greatly with just a few students. So I'll forward this to you as well, so you have it, but give you just kind of an idea. So it's across our entire district that we're seeing.
You mentioned even the incoming class being down, kindergarten is down just under 11%. Less than kindergarten.
We had graduating class of over 1,200 in our graduate, 1,300. So you lose 1,300, you bring in 950,
Right.
it's pretty good show.
Yeah.
So,
On the suggestions, was there any talk about shutting down during summertime?
See from back days before you rest.
and even when we are not operating school during the summer, we still have to have air running. We still have to have, we're still cleaning the building, we're still doing those. As soon as you shut that down, now all of a sudden we have mold and we have a lot of other problems. Brandon can tell you a whole lot more about that. We just know we need to circulate air, even when students aren't there. So,
I know it's a divisive thought, but I know if we shut down schools in the summer, if we truly shut down in the summer, there's a lot of kids in our community that aren't getting important services.
and our summer, well, because, and also because of the requirement for IB3, our summer school has increased.
Yep.
At the elementary specifically. So we're transporting more, do we make walk zones larger, which in a community that doesn't have sidewalks is not the most ideal thing, but can we reduce bus routes and get fewer buses, fewer drivers, et cetera? With declining enrollment, do you close an elementary school and use it for something else and not operate an entire building? So there's lots of those kinds of things, obviously, that, and there's some things that we have some revenue generating, for instance, a cheap, the suggestion to close a cheap. We actually, that's a revenue generator for us. So it's just a matter of educating people. Right? If you close Wayne Preparatory Academy, then all of a sudden you have no place for students who need alternative education because that program no longer exists. And we have to consider the long-term impact of once you shut something like that down, you can't just start it back up. To start it back up, you could, but it would take a little bit of time to, it's kind of like the old gas-powered lamps, right? Once you shut those gym lights down, it took them a while to cool down before you can just put it back up. So.
Thank you.
Shut down this chiller system.
Speaking of which,
All right.
we had a 12% IRA3 overall.
For last year's average, yeah, we had an increase. Yeah. All right, we can get to, we pull it up, that might have been before some.
That was, yeah, I think that was before summer school.
Before elimination.
For students that we ended up retaining in third grade. 104. There's some discussion about trying to model that at the middle level as well. And then some other discussion about trying to do something in mathematics of that sort with cadres. So we may see some of that coming in the future.
And to your point of retention too, when you get and really look at that report from Dr. Harvey, you'll see that the other place that we really decreased was fourth grade, but you'll see third grade increase in because of those retention. Yeah. Just so you don't look at what happened in fourth grade.
I can put that together, Dr.
Okay, we move on to school board policies, first readings.
Our favorite part of the meeting. Here's the good news tonight. We have 4 policies, all with minor revisions, but also very timely. First, I'd like to take a look at first reading is C that is students experiencing housing instability, rights and services. And so there is a title change there that reflects the current code. And there are just minor changes that doesn't change the flavor of the document until you get to the third page. And then even there, it's just cleaning up the language so it's more concise. Our legal team thought it was a bit confusing, so they wanted to make sure those bullet points were specific. Tell who we're servicing. Also, the clarity that students experiencing housing instability are entitled to transportation to their school of origin or the school where they are to be in. There's also clarity to if the school of origin is in a different school corporation or a student experiencing housing instability is living in another school corporation, but will attend their school of origin in the MSD of Wayne Township. MSD of Wayne Township and the other school corporation will coordinate the transportation services necessary for the student or will divide the cost equally. That is not new, that's how we've always operated, Dr. Harris. Stephen. And then on the very last page, I don't know if there's anything highlighted to you, but I have notes that they just added letters there, so there's no changes. Questions about that?
Are we able to collect money from other districts? Are we splitting money or just still splitting transportation?
What typically happens is that we don't split money, each school district just takes care of it themselves. It's almost like a school district agreement, just take care
I
of
mean,
it
I know
themselves.
yeah.
We still have to go to jail. We still have to go to jail. There are certain districts that do charge transfer tuition, especially if they're students who have been assigned to the courts for various reasons. So there's a handful of schools around, districts around that operate those, and will send us.
Hands are clean.
Pull the rest of Janine's off
All right. Next up is D600, School Police Department. There's only one addition there. And that really is to emphasize that police officers, in addition to upholding state law, are to enforce and assist the educators and administrators of our district in the enforcement of the rules and regulations of the district. Any questions about D600? Next, F325 is internal controls, reporting losses, shortages, variances, or thefts. Just clarity in that title. But mostly you see there, we needed to change to financial officer to assistant operations. Through the fourth paragraph down, a loss, shortage, variance, and our theft is material. It amounts to more than $500. What I can tell you in practice is if we have any loss or variance, we report them all. We report them all. Yeah, but this is what our State Board of Accounts suggests. Okay. And on the second page, you see capital assets. That's being, this language is more appropriate for F225, which will be bringing to you in future purchasing procedures. See, and finally, F375, fundraising and crowdfunding. So we wanted to make sure that this policy addressed not only online fundraising, but any crowdfunding, any fundraising. We wanted to make sure we capture that. So very small tweaks. Nothing here really of import that changes the flavor of the policy, other than we just want to make sure that we're covering both fundraising in general and crowdfunding. And as you know, crowdfunding usually is the online ways of raising dollars. So they, as it here, they just want to change. questions about F-47? That will bring Secretary to
I got a text message from one of the coordinators for our esports team regarding crowdfunding. They just fulfilled a $5,000 donors choose.
Wow.
His question was, does he need to go through a proper channel and get board approval for that donation, or can he start spending the money? I've not responded.
You should reach out.
Okay. I will.
But, yeah, those are considered grants.
Yeah, it's you start spending it.
And
Yeah.
the Township Education Foundation is already heavily oversight of that partnership with donors choose.
Yeah, but they're right here, trying to just make sure it's that.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay. Do we have anything else?
We do actually. Tomorrow's a very special day. We have a birthday tomorrow. Karen Burke gets to celebrate her birthday tomorrow.
Turn 30.
Yes.
You wouldn't mind passing that down to Karen? And
There you go.
in our historical tradition of birthdays, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karen. Happy birthday to you. Yay!
Other than that, we are on fall break, so we had some professional development going on today, which was actually wonderful. We were several staff members that are here today will be taking some time off this week and trying to utilize some of their days as would be expected and as we would hope that they would do. I am one of those, so I actually will be leaving Friday to go visit with my parents. We'll be gone next week. Next week is our shutdown week, so none of our offices will be open next week. Other than that, this is a bye week for us in football, so we won't be playing again until Halloween. On the Avon Orioles for the first round of playoffs. So if you didn't see it, our quarterback did set a Ben Davis record on Friday, passing for 8 touchdowns. It is, yes, and so kind of a big deal for that freshman quarterback. We expect great things out of him. And yes, yes. So we're excited for the future. It's been a rough year, but we're excited for the future of Ben Davis football. So
Get your Gabe Kennett jerseys now.
that's right.
I thought we've been seeing the CHC has been doing, so maybe that's the, that next wave coming up.
So we've got the phenomenal freshman quarterback that's been playing varsity. Our true freshman team just won the mid-conference. And the 7th and 8th grade team just competed in the conference championship.
Was it
So,
Park Big Valley? Those two?
so the next several classes coming through are pretty promising.
Yes, and our lead runner, our number one, got first in sections. Yeah. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Good stuff. We'll have a couple recognitions. Ironically for us, our first day back is we have a board meeting after 2 weeks off, so or a full week off. So we do have a couple recognitions that we'll be doing, and of course the TA, the new TA for the police department.
the pre-ratification.
I'm sorry, pre-ratification. TA doesn't come to November 13th. That's right. So it'll be the pre-ratification hearing like we did a couple weeks ago. And then that November 13th meeting that we scheduled before we leave for ISBA District 8 would be the TAs.
That was 4:30?
4:30. And then 5 o'clock.
We'll leave.
I'm anticipating about half an hour we have 4 different items at night. So.
Lots of opportunities coming up to support our bands and choirs as well. Fun time of year.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That is it, sir.
7:43.
Liz, I'm reaching out to trustee Barr to see if we can get more information.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.